Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Our top story this hour: following the rising wave of security challenges facing the country, a member of the National Assembly, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, has resolved to sponsor a bill for the creation of state police as one of the ways of addressing security issues across the country. The bill, entitled A Bill for an Act to Further Alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to Provide for the Establishment of State Police and Other Related Matters 2020, has been slated for first reading at Tuesday's plenary of the Senate. The bill seeks to establish the Federal Police, State Police, National Police Service Commission, National Police Council, and State Police Service Commission for the states. The state police will be saddled with the responsibility of maintaining law and order at the state level, while the federal police will be responsible for the maintenance of public security, preservation of public order, and security of persons and property throughout the federation, and also provide state policing for any state that is unable to operate a state police until such time as it is able to establish one. Well, this is an idea whose time has come quite clearly, from the Amoteku to the more controversial Shege Kafasa, to just other incidents that we've discussed here on this show, like what happened in Ughelli in Delta State, with the tone deafness of the way that matter was handled. People were murdered, and there was an attempt to deny that tragedy occurred. It's clearly time to look at this issue. So this is now bringing it to national attention. We discussed this yesterday during the newspaper review very briefly, and we all seem to be in support of this idea. It has to happen at this point. Yeah.
Well, first, let's commend Senator Ike Ekweremadu, who has now put a bill together to put this matter before the Senate, the National Assembly, as it were. And that bill is going to pass through the first reading, I guess, today. And it provides the National Assembly and Nigerians in general an opportunity to return to a subject that has been on the table since 2004, 2005. It was part of the major issues in the aborted 2004-2005 National Political Conference. It was one of the major resolutions of the 2014 National Political Conference under the Jonathan administration. And it's been one issue that Nigerians have continued to talk about, even since then, insisting that, look, we need state police. Now, the federal government had responded at various times with the idea of community policing, which in their view will amount to a decentralization of the police structure. But the people say community policing is not properly thought through. It is meant to be an interim measure. Now, what is important is to have police to devolve powers in terms of the police structure and command, down to the state levels, because you cannot, on one hand, regard the state governors as chief security officers and at the same time rob them of the powers to be in charge of the security in their environments. Secondly, it is said that, look, the idea of a federal police is counter to the idea of Nigeria as a federation with constituent parts, and that in any case, as you've been told by Professor Kemi Rotimi, who is one of the major experts on the history of policing in Nigeria, it's not as if the idea of state police is a new one. Nigeria, in fact, before the First Republic, had state police, had regional police, had community police, had native authority police. So why are we now, afraid of trying something that once worked in the country? I guess that the debate, when the bill goes beyond the first reading to the second reading, the debate will be useful. And the debate, we hope, will lead to concrete outcomes. And that those who are afraid that state police could be used to violate the integrity of Nigeria itself or be converted to a political instrument should realize that, maybe perhaps they need to have a rethink. Already, various regions are thinking of security networks. You mentioned Operation Amotekun, you mentioned Operation Shege Kafasa. Maybe more will emerge. But the bottom line, of course, is that Nigerians, in grappling with a myriad of problems, are thinking of how best they can survive in this environment as citizens who have a right to life, who have a right to human dignity, and who deserve to live safely in the territory that is defined as Nigeria. And the government, having failed them should begin to think out of the box. And if the people provide the leadership in this regard, I think that they should be encouraged to do so. The debate is welcome.
Certainly it's welcome. I mean, the discussion on the security of lives and property as a whole has been the most prevalent discussion that we've been having of late. And it's great that Senator Ike Ekweremadu has put this before the Senate, because it's time for us to once again consider this, and this time maybe take it a step forward. At the end of the day, we know that the current structure that we have is not working, and a solution is being provided, and one has to be provided and installed. Look at what is happening all across the country. You've mentioned it, and you've mentioned it as well, with the creation of several security outfits like Operation Amotekun. Then, of course, we had the more controversial Shege Kafasa, etc. It is time for this to be done. I mean, the public welcomes it. I am sure everyone welcomes it. This is really just a good development. It has to be done.
You alluded to something, and I really want to know how that's going to be handled. The argument against state police has always been the potential for abuse, especially at election time. So I want to know how that's going to be resolved.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, see, Nigeria has evolved. The concern was that during the First Republic, particularly with the crisis in the Western region after the 1959 elections, that the Native Authority Police was abused by politicians. But that's long time from there. And, the thing is that Nigeria cannot say, because something went wrong in the past, structures cannot be put in place to prevent abuse, right? And I think that that should be part of the conversation on the floor of the National Assembly. Beyond that, of course, is the fact that, look, Nigeria is not safe at the moment. Everybody is looking for a solution. Everybody has become a unit of every home has become a unit of the police station. People are providing their own security. Now, why don't you try other things? And Nigerians have been saying, if you have tried something for so long, why don't we try other options? There are Nigerians who are even questioning the system of governance. Some Nigerians even say, look, this presidential system of government is too expensive, it's too exploitative. Why don't we even go back to the parliamentary system of government? So these are the questions. But you then find some entrenched interests who do not want Nigeria to move forward. A country can make mistakes and grow and evolve and try options. So why are we stuck at just one point where things are not working? This is the major underlying problem.
It doesn't have to be stagnant. It just doesn't have to be stagnant. No economy, no society can develop if you don't bring ideas forward, if you don't debate these ideas, if you don't think of new things to do. I mean, come on, it's just time for this.
Well, the ball is in Senator Ekweremadu's court. I hope he has a doozy of a second reading speech that's going to address all of these arguments and defeat them so that we can, get the ball rolling. Still in Nigeria and still on security, President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday met with security chiefs at the presidential villa. President Buhari had on Sunday assured Nigerians that in the coming weeks they will witness an uncompromising assault to wipe out Boko Haram once and for all. The president said the security agencies will continue to be well-funded and appeal to Nigerians to continue to support the security personnel in their gallant efforts to protect citizens and secure the country. Yesterday's security meeting with the president was attended by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Oloni-Shakin, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ekwe Ibas, and Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu. Well, the newspaper reports are noting the conspicuous absence of the Babagana Mongodo as a result of that leaked memo. Well, that's all the internal wranglings. But this term, once and for all, is what I find interesting, that the president has now assured Nigerians that Boko Haram will be defeated once and for all. We certainly hope so.
Strong words.
Yes.
Well, I mean, the president is continually trying to build confidence and trust, understanding clearly that Nigerians have lost trust and confidence in the security agencies and their capability to secure Nigerians. But the meeting, I mean, the president can meet with service chiefs for as many times as he wishes during the week. He's their commander-in-chief. What Nigerians want is result. But what this meeting yesterday, if you look at the subtext sent across, is the fact that, Malam Abba Kyari, the chief of staff, remains as powerful as the president wants him to be. Because after the meeting with the president, there was another meeting between the service chiefs and Malam Abba Kyari, the chief of staff. And I had made the point that, look, it's the president that delegates authority. and he can delegate that authority as he deems fit. It's interesting that the National Security Advisor carefully excused himself.
Yes, it is.
But we'll take a short break now here on The Morning Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Morning Show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Rutus Ojure with Business News.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning,
Morning,
Rutus. Yes.
Yes, I'm particularly excited this morning because I have here an order from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission with an order that's supposed to be capping estimated billing. This is for the people. They did this for the people. So what's going on is that for residential and commercial customers, the R and C, which they're all categorized and they've got subcategories, they're going to be capping the estimated billing for them. And you know, Nigerians have been getting a lot of high bills. So I think we have a table here that explains how this is going to work. We can see different classes, tariff classes, and different units based on where people live. And this is for Eco Electricity Distribution Company. So using Agbara as an example, you can see that under R2S, they're supposed to be capped. They're capping them at 91 kilowatt hours per month. And based on the tariff, which is 24 naira per kilowatt hour, if you live in Agbara, you will be spending on a monthly basis, if you are not metered with this new order from NERC, 91 kilowatt hours per month times the tariff of 24 naira per kilowatt hour, which should give you a bill of about 2,187 naira or so. That's supposed to be an amount. So if you look at everyone in each of these categories, these numbers are the caps based on their areas, and it will be multiplied by the tariff. Now, the thing here is this. If you're a disco, so Eco Disco, if these customers under this prior estimated billing had been paying more than what they will be paying now, the disco is now incentivized to get them metered. So for this example that I gave now, where Agbara, that 91 kilowatt hours per month times the 24 naira tariff, if that's now capped at about 2,100 naira. If their prior estimated billing was 5,000 or 10,000, the disco has been collecting more money. And so with this cap, it's now reduced. The disco now has to go and get those residents metered. NERC has also said that for other tariff classes that are much higher, there's a deadline of April 30th for which they have to get those meters out there. And there's also one particular interesting stat that they talked about. Let me just read this really quickly here from NERC. It said data received from the ongoing customer enumeration exercise indicates that the customer population has grown from 5 million in 2012 to over 10 million as of December 2019, with about 52% of the population being invoiced. Out of our entire population, only 10 million total customers. I mean, it's a low number that needs to grow in order for liquidity to go into the system, to be discos to be able to make their money back. It's an alarming figure.
That is shocking.
Yeah.
But yesterday, Dr. Bati and I talked to Chief Sunday Oduton of ANED, the Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, yes?
Yes.
And during that conversation, he said metering is not the responsibility of discos, and that actually getting the meters into the country, they have to pay 40% duty.
Right.
The federal government should help with that. And also to support Nigerian companies who manufacture and assemble meters, that the government is not doing enough of that, which is why there's a shortage of meters.
And you know what, to his credit, NERC did acknowledge that in here, saying that someone on the fiscal side, there's a tariff that they have to pay to bring these things in, which, I mean, if you're trying to spread these meters out to everybody, you can't be charging them too much. So he is correct in what he said. But NERC is saying that, look, they're going to address these issues, but they want to put the responsibility of the meters on the discos. They want to place it there so that they get them in. You think NERC is wrong?
Absolutely wrong.
To put the responsibility on the
because
meters,
it was NERC itself that came up with the regulation that meters will be provided by third parties under the metering access providers scheme.
Yes.
Now, coming up with this estimated billing capping is an admission of the failure of that initiative on the part of the regulator. That's one. The second point is that NERC is trying to check arbitrary billing. But what NERC is doing with this estimated billing capping is also arbitrary. How did NERC, as a regulator, arrive at this capping, at these numbers? Now, did it arrive at it, through negotiations with the discos, who are the people interfacing directly with electricity consumers? Because I'll be shocked to think that somebody will sit in Abuja and then just sit in the office and just fix figures.
Right.
That would be wrong. So you cannot replace one form of arbitrariness with another form of arbitrariness.
But this is lower.
What I think, well, I mean, we don't know.
Well, we should have actual.
Because we don't
shouldn't be estimated. It should be actual.
We don't have the comparative statistics.
Right, okay.
The third point
is
that I think that in the relationship between the NEC and the discourse, there has to be greater openness. The discourse, they have enumeration figures, maybe from their transformers, right? Has anybody tried to do a comparison? Or did NEC itself, carry out its own enumeration process across the country?
Right.
I'm not too sure that they have done that. So at the end of the day, it is the consumer that is still holding the short end of the stick. The arbitrariness is dictated by the fact that if you say, well, a man in Agbara maybe living in a small bungalow of about 3 million, this is what he's using. Have you gone there physically to check what he uses? On a month-to-month basis, has there been any increase in what is being consumed? So all of this is unscientific, and I think that NEC owes us further explanations.
Okay.
I can
take the argument. Thank you so much.
We'll take a short break now. We'll be back with sports headlines. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the morning show here at Arise News. Now joining us is Aaron Akerejola, Arise News sports analyst. Aaron, good morning.
Good morning,
Doctor, good morning.
How are you?
Tony, you're looking stunning.
Thank you.
Doctor, I'm
Good to see
Good morning,
you.
Leila. Good morning. And let's actually start it off from UEFA Champions League. By far, the world's biggest club football tournament. We'll be getting to another phase today as we'll have some other teams play. Chelsea will be playing host to Bayern Munich later on tonight at the Stamford Bridge. I beg your pardon. The last time they met was in the UEFA Champions League finals back in 2012, with Chelsea won on penalties. Let's see if they will have better fortunes today. Chelsea going into this particular tournament as underdogs. And also later on tonight in Sao Paulo, SSC Napoli will be welcoming Barcelona in what seems to be a David and Goliath situation. Let's see if Lionel Messi will roar once again, or maybe SSC Napoli will be able to do something magical. Back in the day, Diego Maradona was the man that was turning heads with Napoli. Let's see if they can actually capture that particular form. But the story that has gotten everyone talking for quite some time right now, it actually broke over the course of the weekend, and that's the loss of that Tiamiu Kazim, a.k.a. Kaká. All right, to gross misconduct by SARS over the weekend. He got shot. He got hit by a motor car and ultimately lost his life in the hospital in Shagamu. And it's quite unfortunate as this has taken even a wider turn and is getting bigger and bigger. Just yesterday, the governor of Ogun State, by the way, the club members and the entirety of the management of the club, talking about Remo Stars, went to visit the parents in Shagamu yesterday to just condole with them at this very, very tough time about a boy who went about his business, was a peaceful human being, loved everyone, celebrated so much, so many people, and unfortunately we find ourselves in this kind of situation whereby the SARS, because some people say they've identified the man who actually arrested the boy, but questions are being asked because they say that if they came all the way from Abeokuta to Shagamu to arrest him, are they saying that there were no police stations in Shagamu or maybe the close by Ikene? And the DSP actually released a statement saying that DSP Abimbola released a statement saying that the boy wore camouflage, which ultimately turned out to be false, and at the end of the day, but the true position of things from one of the statements being released by the governor of Ogun State was the fact that when you look at the boy, certainly they were in a Sienna vehicle. Talking about the boys were actually moving to go and get groceries, while the SARS were in a Sienna vehicle, actually waylaid them at some point, told the boy to enter into their car. Meanwhile, his friends that were along with him drove his own car, and at some point when they stopped, they asked him questions when they were not satisfied by what they got. They threw him out of the moving vehicle, and he got knocked down by another oncoming vehicle.
Well, a number of issues, yeah. I mean, the police version is different from the version
clearly different
of the Remo Stars Football Club. But what is established is that the police arrested this Tiamiyu Kazim, who is the assistant captain of the Remo Stars Football Club, and was being taken to Abeokuta. Somewhere along the line, one version says he was wearing a military cap. Okay, you said it was a camouflage. The police said, the car developed a fault. He and his colleagues jumped out of the vehicle. They tried to run across the expressway. In the process, he was hit by an oncoming vehicle. Another account was that he was pushed out of the vehicle. But whatever it is, it looks like another case of police brutality.
Without a doubt.
It is another case.
The people of Remo, they are not convinced that there was no foul play involved on the part of the police. And that was why they decided to take to the streets. At the end of the day, in the encounter between the supporters, the fans of Remo Stars Football Club and concerned citizens, 3 more people were killed. All of this is not justifiable. But the good thing is that the Inspector General of Police...
The governor actually he said that the boys that were killed tried to burn down the police station. And
yes,
also
that's what the police is saying.
No, that's what the statement that was released by the governor. I'm actually quoting the statement released by the governor.
Position.
Yes.
Let's put it like that. But at the end of the day, I think we should commend the Inspector General of Police.
Yeah.
He has deployed a DIG in charge of a criminal investigation department to go and stay in Ogun State until the matter is resolved. He has also deployed to Shagamu another DIG in charge of research and training to stay in Shagamu until the matter is resolved. And we hope that at the end of the day, justice will be done.
That's what we're hoping.
Because police brutality is unacceptable. On the question of Chelsea and Bayern Munich, I think Bayern Munich will win. Bayern Munich,
without a doubt,
without a doubt, champion in Europe. And they
I guess nobody has a champion of the underdog.
And they have Robert Lewandowski.
Yes, he's got 10 goals as we speak to you.
Thanks, Aaron.
One of the highest in the Champions League.
See you tomorrow.